right. Well, it's 6 o'clock. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here with you again. I hope you're all well and happy. We just finished a meditation here at Vajrapani Institute. I usually lead a meditation from 4:30 to 5:30 Pacific time on Mondays. So it's good. Meditation is good. Meditation is the key that unlocks the door to freedom. So when we practice meditation, beginning with the breath as our object, as time goes by and the mind is content to stay in the present moment, we may find that after briefly settling the mind using the breath, we have the ability to actually remain in the present moment with no need to focus on the breath at all. It's called objectless meditation, or perhaps meditation on awareness itself. So the breath is there, but the mind gives up wandering. And it's quite happy to be alert, open, attentive, and accepting the present, whatever is arising. Then the whole of the present moment comes into focus, you see. Not just the breath, but the whole, all sensation, body, comes into focus. So there's an open-hearted awareness of whatever is arising in the present moment. And so this includes the feelings of the body, sounds, thoughts, and emotions, whatever may arise. So the training is to let them come, let them take their shape, perform their function, and then dissolve. So attending to the present moment, we begin to see that in every moment, there is an arising, there's an appearance, there's an abiding, and a disappearance of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought, feeling, and emotion. So these sensations arise and we experience them, and then they change. But within all of that and around all of that, there can be a quality of knowing that is attentive to that, attuned to what's going on, but not reactive to it. So begin to know through our own experience, not that somebody's telling us, but through our own experience, that no condition is permanent. No condition is reliable. And that nothing is self. So the great master Chandrakirti, in his Middle Way introduction, said that seeing with awareness that all afflictions and faults arise from the view of the transitory collections, and having realized the self as its object, yogis strive to negate the self. So in other words, recognizing, understanding, seeing clean clear, as Lama Yeshe used to say, clean clear, seeing that every suffering and every mistaken action, every action leading to suffering, arises from a view of what's called the transitory collection, which is the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. So these are the 5 aggregates that make up the person. And it's our view of that, realizing that we hold a view of that as the self. That's me. So we try to negate that. And through the practice of meditation, we see in direct experience that there is no self in the person nor in phenomena. And this is freedom. The mind that sees the emptiness of the mind is freedom. This is Master Shantideva. So, that being said, let's take a moment to adjust our motivation for attending this evening. Thinking, just as I long for happiness and freedom from suffering, so too does every single living being. How wonderful it would be if I was able to bring immutable happiness to each and every one. Therefore, I will listen, analyze, and reflect on the Buddha's advice for actualizing this wish. So we'll begin with a short meditation, establishing our posture. In gathering our attention, assessing the state of our body and mind. And then settling body and mind into their natural state, imbued with the qualities of stillness, vigilance, and relaxed ease. To facilitate this, we scan the body from the crown all the way to the toes, releasing and softening, letting go of any tension or tightness. As we come all the way to the ground. And we experience a sense of stability, of safety. As we feel the body on the seat, grounded here in the present moment, in stillness. Let your heart be glad for another opportunity to practice. To delve into the true nature of reality. To grow our wisdom, our love, our compassion, our joy. How wonderful. And we turn our attention to the sensation of the breath, wherever it manifests most distinctly, perhaps at the tip of the nose, maybe the rising and falling of the belly, wherever it is comfortable to focus. And we count for 10 full cycles, breathing out and back in again as one. Counting at the top of the in-breath. Noticing the still points as it turns. And establishing harmony in movement and stillness. And when we recognize that distractions have whisked us away, we kindly and gently refocus, remembering that our attention is infinitely renewable. Nothing to do or undo. Without force or impedance, allow the breath to simply be center stage. With a relaxed and peaceful mind, please recall that the foundation stone of the path to enlightenment is our refuge. It's the gateway to all teachings and practices. Therefore, growing our great wish to liberate all sentient beings, we surround ourselves with each and every one. Have a sense that they come to practice with us. Mom on our left and Dad on our right. All our relatives and friends behind us. Try to have a sense of responsibility for liberating the troublemakers in our life in front of us. And then fill all sentient beings in space. Those we have yet to meet in this life. And then we will call our Lama. So many buttons to push as we call our Lama. Please join me. Think of your Lama. And let them come in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha. Om, please come, great hero, the teacher of pure words, creation, destruction, self-arisen, the wisdom of emptiness, and that of So we see them appearing before us, their whole body made of light, smiling lovingly at us. And one Lama said, when your eyes fill with tears and your body shivers from gazing at the face of your Lama, then take refuge and ask for blessings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the mind of enlightenment, to seeing emptiness directly, and to the Arya beings who have. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment, with confidence in the knowledge that the nature of my own mind is wisdom. Its expression is clarity, and its compassion is all pervasive. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. May all beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good reapers and the bliss of liberation. I will help us to have these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do this. And then we engage in the seven-limb prayer. I prostrate with body, speech, and mind. I make each and every offering. I confess my mistaken karma and rejoice in every virtuous deed. Please, Buddha, stay until samsara ends. Teach Dharma to every sentient being. I dedicate to great enlightenment. So then just thinking, how wonderful it is. We make offerings. everything in the universe. Oh, this ground scented with perfume and covered with flowers, adorned by Mount Meru, four worlds, sun and moon, I imagine as a Buddha land, and then offer it. May all beings enjoy this pure land. I send this jeweled mandala to you, my precious Guru. So then we ask our Lama, O magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat above my head. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. So now we imagine that our Lama comes above the crown of our head. Their holy body is made of light. They're facing the same direction that we are. And at their heart, a sphere of light, universal love, compassion, and wisdom. And as we make this request, light rays and nectars flow down from their holy body and enter our crown and fill us with all of the realizations on these stages of the path. May I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence, be protected by refuge, guided by a knowledge of actions and their results, aim for liberation through renunciation. May I be motivated by bodhichitta, opened by giving, disciplined by ethical behavior, yes please, strengthened by patience, enthused by joyous effort, stabilized by concentration, and freed by wisdom. So feel that, those rays of light and nectar flowing down, coming into your crown, gently floating down and filling your whole body. And feel that you have received the seeds for all of these realizations. And we request, O magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I attain enlightenment. So now, imagine that your Lama becomes smaller and smaller. And transforms into a small sphere of warm light. And this light just above your crown begins to descend. Slowly down through the center of your body. It comes to rest at the level of your heart. And as we penetrate it with our mind, inhaling and allowing it to energize, exhaling and allowing it to expand. We grow our own warm heart. As we are filled with universal love, this wish for all beings to have happiness and all of its causes. Let your ordinary mind dissolve and become one with that loving heart, feeling loved and loving. So begin to feel your body as you once again find yourself present in the room. And let's recap a bit last week's class, during which we said that our nature is happiness. This is our nature. It's not something foreign that we have to conjure up. When we cultivate the causes of happiness, we're not cultivating something that's foreign or not true. So if you ask yourself, if somebody asks you, okay, where is happiness? Where is happiness? Where is it? What would you say? Where is happiness? I think ordinary people would say, well, happiness is having everything we need in our world. But actually, as we said earlier, nothing is reliable or permanent in our external environment, right? So we said happiness is in the mind. His Holiness said that mental happiness is a genuine sense of love and affection. And if we meditate for 10 to 30 minutes on compassion and kindness for others, it affects our whole day. And that's the way to maintain a calm and joyous mind. And then we looked at mind, right? What is mind? I once had a friend who said, you have to explain it to me so I can explain it to my 12-year-old. What do you mean? What is mind? Mind is defined in Mahayana Buddhism as that which is luminous and knowing. It's just that which knows. It's mere clarity and awareness. It's not physical, has no shape, no color, no obstructing qualities. It's not the brain. although it's interrelated, cannot be found in the physical realm. It's the medium through which we can know ourselves, others, and the world around us. To know both internal and external things. So we could see when we did the continuity of consciousness meditation, we see that mind comes from mind. You know, we can, these discrete mind moments, we can go back. Right? Mind causes mind. So here's the good part. The ultimate nature of mind is essentially pure. This pristine nature of mind is technically called clear light. And the various afflictive emotions, like anger and greed, are products of conditioning. If we generate and express positive energy, thoughts, and attitudes in our mind, we create a mental space in which there's no place whatsoever for negativity to be. This is why we can become Buddhists. And so we discussed doubt because, you know, at that point in time, then doubt comes. So when doubt comes, you know, we allow them to arise. We let them surface. We reflect on them. We own them, discuss them, and challenge them. You know, we analyze. Lama used to say, if there's something about which you have doubt, good. You know, because then you're checking. You know? And he said, don't throw it out completely. You know, put it on the shelf. If it's something that you have not been able to agree with, or you have not been able to embrace as part of your worldview, then put it on the shelf. Because then you can come back and revisit it at some future date. And mind is always changing. So it may be part of your ability to embrace at some point in time in the future. So the foundation of this text that we will be unpacking during our time together is the three principal aspects of the path. So it's a concise rendering of the path of liberation by the founder of the Gelug lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, Lama Tsongkhapa. And that, well, we'll go on. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, and I'm going to try to jump back in to sharing my screen again. Oh, I did it. Let's see. I have to do it this way. Honestly. Okay. You would think, no, that's not right. Okay, there's these steps to get to the right place. So please bear with me while I manage to do it again. Oh, that's it. Interesting. But now I can't share the screen. Honest to Pete. Happiness. They say, blessed are we who can laugh at ourselves, for we shall never cease to be amused. This is why I have somebody else do this. Yay. Okay, there you go. 3 principal aspects of the path. This is Master Tsongkhapa. So this is the foundational text. This path to enlightenment, it's not a some kind of belief system. It's not something to just believe because you're being told. It's something to put into practice. So in this sense, it's entirely practical. There's one teacher who used to come bring his students to Vajrapani, but he became quite popular and he outgrew our place here. His name is Adyashanti. And he's quoted as having said, the path of liberation is a call to action. It's something you do. It's a doing that will undo you absolutely. And if you don't do the teachings, if you don't study and apply it fearlessly, it really can't affect any transformation. So these 3 principal aspects of the path. I'm going to give you the whole 3 principal aspects of the path as a Lama Tsongkhapa spoke them. So please, you just listen to this transmission. You can imagine that Lama Tsongkhapa is before us. He said, I bow down to the venerable spiritual masters. I will explain as well as I'm able the essence of the teachings of the conquerors, the path praised by the conquerors and their spiritual children, the entrance for the fortunate ones who desire liberation. Listen with clear minds, you fortunate ones who direct your minds to the path pleasing to the Buddha, and strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity without being attached to the joys of cyclic existence. For you embodied beings bound by the craving for existence, without the pure determination to be free, renunciation, there is no way to cut the attractions to its pleasurable effects. Thus, from the outset, seek to generate the determination to be free. By contemplating the leisure and endowments so difficult to find, and the fleeting nature of this life, reverse the clinging to this life. By contemplating the effects of karma and the miseries of cyclic existence, reverse the clinging to future lives. In this way, when you have day and night the mind aspiring for liberation, then you have generated the determination to be free, renunciation, or definite emergence. However, if your determination to be free is not sustained by the pure, dedicated heart, bodhichitta, it doesn't become the cause for the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Therefore, the intelligent generate the supreme thought of enlightenment. How? Swept by the current of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by the strong bonds of karma that are so hard to undo, caught in the iron net of self-grasping egoism, completely enveloped in the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, unceasingly tormented by the 3 miseries. By thinking of all mother sentient beings in this condition, generate the supreme altruistic aspiration, bodhicitta. Furthermore, even if you meditate on the determination to be free and the mind of enlightenment, without the wisdom realizing the final nature, how things actually exist, there is no way to cut the root of cyclic existence. Therefore, strive to realize dependent arising. he who sees the infallible cause and effect of cyclic existence and beyond, and destroys the false perception of their inherent existence, has entered the path which pleases the Buddha. Appearances are infallible dependent arisings. Emptiness is free of assertions of inherent existence or non-existence. When these two understandings are seen as separate, one has not yet realized the intent of the Buddha. However, when these two realizations are simultaneous and concurrent, from the mere sight of infallible dependent arising comes definite knowledge that completely destroys all modes of mental grasping. At that time, the analysis of the profound view is complete. In addition, appearances clear away the extreme of inherent existence. Emptiness clears away the extreme of non-existence. When you see the arising of cause and effect from the viewpoint of emptiness, you are not captivated by either of the two extremes of nihilism or eternalism. In this way, when you have realized the exact points of the three principal aspects of the path, by depending on solitude, generate the power of joyous effort and quickly accomplish the final goal, my child. So this lamrim practice, through practice, there is a gradual transformation culminating in Buddhahood. Lama Yeshe says that the lamrim shows us our delusions and gives us meditations to eliminate them. He used to say, it's scientific, dear. It's a scientific method to change our way of thinking. Each lamrim method, each lamrim meditation is like a switch. When we have a particular problem, we turn on the relevant switch and there's light. And if we have another problem, we turn on a different switch. We push the right button. The Dharma light comes on. As Lama would say, our disaster situation vanishes. It's scientific. So often we make it so complicated, right? So complicated and confusing. Lady Naguba said, it's so obvious we don't see it. So simple, we don't believe it. So easy, we don't trust it. So this Sutra Path to Enlightenment is an overview. This lamrim gives us an overview of the Buddha's teachings leading to enlightenment, which simply means purified and perfected, Zhangchub, purified and perfected. Lama Zopa Rinpoche said, all the great meditators of the past used this outline to quickly gain realizations. And we need to be patient. With perseverance, we will definitely make progress. In his elementary fundamental description of the Buddhist path, Lama Tsongkhapa clearly lays out the path to enlightenment, advising the three main things to cultivate step by step. As he said in the three principal aspects of the path, develop renunciation, or this spirit of emergence. Develop bodhichitta, a longing to become Buddha, to best help sentient beings. And develop wisdom, realize how reality exists. So we're advised to study these, to meditate on them, to analyze them, until they go beyond mere intellectual property, until they penetrate the mind, until they become realizations. They become our own truth. These are the building blocks that show us where we're headed and how to get there. Actually, our job is to question reality, to question what appears to us as true, and then to use discerning wisdom, mind training, remembering our goals of freedom and enlightenment. We strive to eliminate the tendency to believe in an illusory reality, which propels us to behave in ways that bring suffering. Instead, we cultivate ways to be helpful, kind, loving, and wise. In this way, we purify the mind of the seeds that bring suffering, and we plant the seeds that grow our enlightened potential, like growing a garden. So how do we begin this journey? We begin by finding a teacher who will give us a roadmap and guide us along the way, one who's qualified to do so. Why? Because they know the way. They've been there. They know the way. So when you begin to look for a teacher who can guide you on this path, there are qualities to look for. There are 10 qualities that we look for. The first one is that they're controlled by morality, so they live an ethical life. They're pacified by concentration. They're completely pacified by wisdom. They have a greater knowledge than oneself. They have perseverance. They're skilled in teaching. They have a realization of suchness. They have a vast scriptural knowledge. They have love and compassion. And they have abandoned discouragement. It's very difficult to find a teacher that has all of these qualities. So it is said in the literature that one should, at least one's teacher should have these 3 minimum requirements: to know more than you know about this path to enlightenment, to think more of others than themselves, and to think more about future lives than this one. So why should we find a teacher? When asked if a teacher was necessary, His Holiness the Dalai Lama replied, "No, but it makes it a lot easier." There are numberless books about Buddhism, but it's easy to get lost and lose the plot. And this happened in Tibet over the centuries after Buddha's passing. And it was Lord Atisha, who lived from 982 to 1054, who brought the teachings of the steps of the path to Tibet. Atisha was a great Indian Kadampa master, and he codified the teachings into a text called the Lamp of the Path. When he was asked by perhaps another teacher or a student, how will we keep Buddha's teachings in the world? So he codified this lamrim path. So studying Tibetan Buddhism was likened by one teacher to baking a cake. So you have to first learn to make the cake, right? How do you make the cake? First, you have to decide what kind of a cake you're going to make, since there are countless cakes. So I love a good chocolate cake, and my mother makes a good chocolate cake. So my mom can teach me to make that cake. So how do I know that my mom knows how to make that cake? Because I've tasted her cake. So where did she learn it? She learned it from her mom, who learned it from her mom. Now, this is like the lineage, from teacher to disciple, who becomes the teacher to disciple in an unbroken lineage. Granny's fudge cake is passed on from mother to child, from teacher to disciple. So how do I know she can teach me? Because she taught my sisters. And I've tasted their cakes. So what do I learn when I'm baking a cake? You know, I learn the ingredients. I learn what equipment I need to use. I know the order. I know how to mix it. I know the temperature to bake it, how to prepare the pans, how long to bake it, how long to cool it before frosting it, how to make the frosting. All I need to do is follow the steps and I'll be eating delicious Granny's fudge cake. But we all need someone to teach us how to bake the enlightenment cake. So we must check our teacher well. Lama Atisha checked his teacher for 12 years before asking to be his disciple. And one of the ways of checking a teacher is to see who are their students. When you go to sit at the feet of a teacher and listen to them teach, who's in the room? Who are the companions that will be on the path with you? Who are this teacher's students? Is this a group of individuals that you have a kinship with? Are these people you would like to be with? So we're looking for an enlightened mind. And I think I defined that for you last week, in Geshe Loden's book. A mind that is filled with the greatest, most far-reaching love, fused with wisdom and compassion, completely free of ignorant hatred, ignorant desire, and fundamental ignorance itself. An unstoppable wellspring of happiness, peace, and contentment, filled with boundless joy and no limitations to creating beneficial circumstances reflecting that joy. Understanding the nature of mind, that it is merely clear and knowing, we can see that enlightenment is possible for each of us. Each one of us has Buddha nature. But what is it that turns our mind toward practice? What motivates us? We can see on the Freedom Road the signs. What turns our mind? Precious human life, death and impermanence, karma, and the suffering of samsara. When we contemplate these in order, they lead to this definite emergence. I'm getting out of here, to renunciation. And then we have actually stepped onto the first path, the path of accumulation. So life, like conventional education, we pass through various grades. So here we're talking about the different levels, all relating to the development of wisdom and compassion, the two wings that fly us to enlightenment. Wisdom, we learn how reality exists. What did Lama Tsongkhapa say? Appearances are infallible, dependent arisings. Emptiness is free of assertions of inherent existence or non-existence. You see, we look at how reality exists as a dependent arising, empty of any inherent existence. We learn that. We take a close look at our situation. And compassion, we see that all beings are just like us. And we develop this phenomenal capacity to use what we've learned in the wisdom wing to help others. So the first level of learning is taking stock of our reality and developing a motivation to practice through the four thoughts that turn the mind to practice. And the first two contemplations are to understand how precious this human life really is, and that we're going to lose it. And this leads us to strive for a positive future life. And that's our initial level of motivation. We don't want to suffer now or in the future. So we better practice Dharma, which becomes our refuge. The foundation of the practice is living an ethical life. So the second two contemplations are karma and the suffering of cyclic existence in general, which ultimately leads us to the first principal aspect of the path, renunciation, or definite emergence. And we will see how that all manifests, how that flows through the power of meditating on these topics. So what we do is we begin by taking refuge in that which we believe will help. And we practice that in this practice of Guru Yoga. Every day we take refuge. We check it, the three levels, right? The three levels of refuge. So refuge has this really beautiful meaning in Buddhism. It's a form of surrender. It's a letting go of all thoughts of self-reference and placing our entire being in the refuge of the awakened mind. Refuge is seeking a safe harbor in a scary sea. So these practices of the lower scope are refuge and living an ethical life. Refuge is like going for ultimate help. Like we see ourselves in a small boat caught on a very scary sea, the boat's leaking, and then we see a harbor that looks safe and calm, and we immediately want to head confidently and quickly to that safe harbor for protection. Patro Rinpoche advised, ultimately, taking refuge means to realize with total confidence that one's own mind stream, the essential nature is wisdom. Its natural expression is clarity, and its compassion is all pervasive. This is why I feel it's important to recite that every day too, remembering our outer refuge, our inner refuge. So when we take refuge, we should do so fervently, so that it really permeates our being. When we take refuge, we actually think about our pitiful circumstance and how we're going to get out of it. So these levels of refuge, the first one being taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Buddhists take refuge in, these are the three jewels. And this is our outer refuge. Sometimes we talk about outer, inner, and secret refuge. This is our outer refuge. Buddha refers to Buddha Shakyamuni, the one who taught us the path to end all suffering, the path to enlightenment. Dharma is the path, or the teachings, and the realizations of that path within our minds. And Sangha are our spiritual companions on the path. So the second level of refuge is, as we said, the enlightened mind. The path to that is seeing emptiness directly. And the Sangha are the Arya beings who have had that experience. This is our inner refuge, enlightenment, seeing emptiness directly, and the Arya beings who have. And our secret refuge is the knowledge of our own capacity, our own Buddha nature, believing in that. We say it over and over again, taking refuge with confidence in the knowledge that the nature of my own mind is wisdom. Its expression is clarity, and its compassion is all pervasive. We say that. We believe in that. It helps us to recognize that the mind is essentially pure. So when we contemplate the three lower realms, and the general sufferings of cyclic existence, we fear our future. And we have faith in the three jewels. So I like to think about the faith aspect. It's like the stick and the carrot. What is it that motivates us? I'm motivated by faith that every being has Buddha potential. And how much it is realized depends on effort. It's just our lack of awareness of our great potential that serves as an obstruction. When we conjure up the self-pity mind, oh yeah, all of them, look at them sitting here so straight. They're completely in samadhi. I'm the one whose mind is wild. It's not like that. We all have that potential. There's a story that they often tell about a very, very poor family. They barely had enough to eat. Their whole life, they had nothing. And then after they were all gone, after they died, when the house was torn down and the floorboards were taken up, they found there was gold under the floorboards. So if the family had known, all their financial worries would have been solved. If we know that we have this Buddha potential, we can begin to eliminate the causes of our suffering and cultivate the causes of our enlightenment. In the same way, this jewel is hidden by obstructive layers of delusion, agitation, and ignorance. Delusion, delusions, the root delusions, we will be talking about those. But I looked that up. What does it mean to delude? To delude. It means to mislead the mind or judgment, to deceive. Karuna Caton, a good friend of mine, wrote a book called Misleading Mind. It's a very good book. To deceive, to cause us to believe an untruth. So just as we can wipe the dust from a jewel, we can become a Buddha. Because mind, by nature, is not deluded. Mind doesn't need to be misled. And that's fantastic. So let's just take a little meditation trip on refuge. This is meant to give us a taste of what refuge means, what it feels like. So we're not actually being asked to take refuge, but the analogy we use is being sick with a mental disturbance. We go for refuge to a skillful healer, to an effective remedy, and to the skilled assistants who can help us take that remedy. So our reliance on these is our refuge. So if we find our meditation seat, and actually, if you want to stretch your legs out first, maybe that's a good idea. I will call it a self-care moment. Yeah, good plan. Just a little stretch is very beneficial before you pretzel up again. Okay. So we settle into our posture, which we know includes allowing our back to lengthen and straighten. And relaxing our shoulders. Paying particular focus to our muscles in our face, the eyes and jaw. Releasing any tension. Just allow it to be released. Allow the whole body to settle into relaxation. What does it feel like to give yourself permission to completely let go? Nothing to hold on to, nothing to plan, nothing to force, nothing to want, and nothing missing. If you like, you can use your breath as an anchor. Now I invite you to bring to mind a particular difficulty you might have, either in your body or your mind, some problem or difficulty. It might be depression or sadness, grief, or anxiety. It might be agitation, not getting what you want, or getting what you don't want. Try to be specific, one thing, and make it as real as you can. And think about the suffering that this brings, how it affects your life. Now, as you imagine yourself surrounded in this room by all living beings, imagine these are the living beings who suffer in similar ways. Imagining them really here. You see them suffering in the same way. And think how wonderful it would be if they were free of this suffering. And try to develop an intention to work for that. To work on your own mind in order to benefit both yourself and all these others who are suffering just as you do. And allow your heart to really open. Now imagine this suffering as a great, very painful, very difficult disease, a great source of pain. What would be the best way to treat this? What do you need? If you had a disease, painful disease, what's the best way to treat it? Probably you need a skilled healer to diagnose the cause and prescribe a remedy. When we are suffering, we want to find a healer. We want to be free of that suffering. Imagine that you actually found such a healer. And you were able to check out this person in a way that you could develop complete confidence in them. How would you feel if you did find such a healer? Now, if the healer told you that the food that you have been eating your whole life is in fact poison, and then showed you different food to eat and a remedy that would definitely heal you, what would you do? Would you want to continue to eat as before? Or would you want to take the healer's remedy? And if you found healing assistants who understood how and when to take the remedy and offered to help you do that, would you want their help? What if you investigated and found that this combination of healer, remedy, and healing assistance could help not only you, but all the others with similar diseases? Where would you put your trust? How relieved would you be? The healer is the Buddha. The remedy is the Dharma. The healing assistants are the Sangha. Our reliance on them to cure the disease of suffering is refuge. So allow yourself a moment to experience what this kind of confidence, what this reliance might feel like. To have actually found a teacher, been gifted the path, and are surrounded by spiritual companions. How does that feel? I like to wake up every morning with gratitude for having met this path. For I have seen over 40 years of practice that it does lead to purified and perfected mind. So the more we practice, the more we have faith, the more benefit we receive from the practice, the more faith that we have. Normally, where do we turn for refuge in times of difficulty? Do you think about that? When we're disturbed, do we turn to food or social media or movies or a change of scenery? Is that a lasting remedy? Or is it a band-aid on an infected wound? This is what we do. We reflect. We review. We analyze. And when we have a feeling, oh, wow. Amazing. Then we stay with that. Let our mind marinate in that gratitude for the refuge that we have. And then what do we do? So refuge is the first practice of the initial motivation. And the second practice for the person with the initial motivation, which is at least seeking a positive future rebirth, is to live an ethical life, to practice moral discipline. The word dharma actually literally means to hold back, to keep you from going, uh-oh, wrong way, wrong way, protecting, right? So to live an ethical life, to practice moral discipline. And so moral discipline is practiced by abandoning with intention and over time what are called the 10 non-virtuous actions and cultivating their opposite. So there are 3 of body. So we cultivate respecting life, respecting property, and respecting relationships. We avoid killing, stealing, and engaging in sexual misconduct. And then there are 4. Well, if you look at this is harming. The 10 non-virtues, the 10 virtues, the 10 virtues are to help, and the 10 non-virtues harm. So we want to avoid harm and help as much as possible. And this is how we live an ethical life. Living an ethical life, practicing what is called the 3 moralities, which is avoiding non-virtue, gathering virtue, and benefiting sentient beings. So this is the kind of life we aspire to live. So those are the 3 of body, and then there are 4 of mind. So we speak truthfully, respectfully, kindly, and meaningfully. So we avoid lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle gossip. We think about these. How do they harm? Or how do they help? We meditate on these. We reflect on these. Each one, you think, how does that harm when I do that? How does it help when I do that? Think about each one. We reflect on it. We analyze it. Why is it good to do one and not good to do the other? How does it bring me happiness or suffering? And then there are 3 of mind. So we wish others well. We rejoice in others' good fortune. And we abide in an open mind to truth. So we avoid ill will, covetousness, and wrong views. So transformation occurs through organizing our life around our intentions. So we intend to live an ethical life. I was thinking this morning about the Eightfold Noble Path, which is in the Theravada tradition is front and center. So it's right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right meditation. So it's something you do. You know, the path to enlightenment is something you do, which undoes you completely, the you that you think you are. So we don't need to go to a cave. We just need to commit to awaken with earnest, steadfast practice. We commit. It's like Lady Naguma said, you know, so obvious we don't see it. So simple we don't believe it. So easy we don't trust it. If we look at living an impeccably ethical life, the difference between having a clear conscience and having some niggling bits in the back that you still haven't worked out yet, you still haven't cleaned that up. Now, this is what the purification practices are for. You know, to do reciting Vajrasattva mantras, doing prostrations to the 35 Buddhas. We do these purification practices in order to stop those states of mind from even coming again. Stop them from ever arising again. When we allow small non-virtues to go by the by, oh, it's just a little white lie, we're just creating the cause to continue to lie. And continuing to lie, lying creates the cause for nobody to believe me. Your speech becomes useless. Nobody believes you. When you have a situation, you be around people who can't understand why people don't listen to them. When we exaggerate, then we're not so keen. When we hear somebody exaggerating over and over and over again, then we don't really believe exactly what they say, even when they might be speaking the truth in that moment. But we catch, oh, that's an exaggeration. That's an exaggeration. But then, when they're not exaggerating, we can't trust that. So we should look how we're behaving in every moment, trying as much as possible to really look at these 10 virtues and cultivate them. You know, make little cards, stick them around your house and work on them. You know, which one is your biggest fault? And work on it. Work on it. Try to try to eliminate it, to eliminate it. So when we contemplate, in order to keep our eyes on a positive future, what do we contemplate? We contemplate two things. We contemplate how precious this human life is and that we're going to lose it. And these are the 6 realms of existence, according to Buddhist thought. I remember being in France some years ago and going to a cathedral. I hadn't ever been to any of these big European cathedrals. Wow, this old cathedral. You walk in, and at the back, the entire wall was covered. I said, wow, I thought this was a cathedral. This was Catholic. That looks like 6 realms right there. I went, wow, amazing. You can go in there and it looks like, wow, I don't want to go there. The hell realms were all right there, hungry ghosts, they were all there. You could see the gods. It's amazing. Dante's Inferno. We can say, oh, I don't, when Lama Zopa Rinpoche gave teachings on the 6 realms in 1977 at Yucca Valley, I just wanted to go, no. I didn't want to hear about that. Did not want to hear. But it's important to hear, because what we can see as we go through these, that, what? These are all right here, right now. We can see these realms right here, right now, in our world, if we look. So we can't prove scientifically that there are future lives, but we also can't prove otherwise. And there's some convincing evidence on the side of reincarnation. As a matter of fact, I remember doing a little research about reincarnation and in the Christian tradition when it was removed from Christianity. So I can't tell you right now, but it used to be part of the Christian theology. So how is it? We can't prove that there are future lives. But how could we maybe check to see if it's true? We could say, okay, the Buddha said so. And other things that he has said were true. So we could say, well, so I could rely on that. And there are many people who have had near-death experiences, and they relate to what happened to them. There are realized beings who can recall previous lives and recount scenarios that no one else would know. There are child prodigies. How do you explain that? A 3-year-old playing Mozart. And there are children in the same family with very different propensities who have been raised very similarly. Yes. So there are several Christian sources that suggest it was common to believe that one does not come to earth just once, but various times. I think until you get it right. The doctrine of pre-existence and reincarnation did exist as Jesus's secret teachings, it says here. So in 553 AD, this information was declared heresy at the Second Council of Constantinople. I knew I had seen that somewhere. So we might want to hedge our bets, because the 6 realms of possible rebirth provide many opportunities to suffer, and sometimes quite horrendously. So you see these here, these 6 realms, and what the literature says is that there are more hell beings than hungry ghosts, more hungry ghosts than animals, more animals than humans, more humans than jealous gods, and more jealous gods than gods. So this isn't that the gods are the pinnacle. right? This is because it's by numbers, ordered by numbers. So we can go to the hell realms. So the predominant cause is fearful anger and extreme harmful actions like murder, engaged in while motivated by a powerful delusion like anger. So even in the human realm, we may experience a measure of hellish suffering, as we're boiling with rage, or imprisoned in fearful paranoia. This happens in our own human realm, we can see. And then there are the hungry spirits or the pretas. So their primary delusion leading to such a rebirth is miserliness. These beings suffer from insatiable hunger and thirst, and they experience many obstacles to their quest for food. When they find something, they have difficulty swallowing it down their scrawny necks. So much suffering. And then the animal realm. So the main cause for an animal rebirth is slavishly and stupidly following sensory desires. Animals suffer from limited intelligence, being chased and eaten, used for heavy labor, exposed to heat and cold, and being plagued by hunger and thirst. And then the human realm. Despite humans' wishes to experience happiness and avoid suffering, humans are continuously misled by their ignorance and must experience unwanted miseries again and again. It's called the desire realm, grasping desire. So in terms of spiritual growth, the human realm is the most fortunate of all, because humans can learn to cultivate moral self-control, concentration, and wisdom. Humans can gain freedom, liberation, and get off the wheel. Then there are the demigods or the asuras. Because of their previous positive actions, demigods enjoy extremely pleasant surroundings, attractive companions, and intense sensory delights. However, they're consumed by jealousy for the superior gods. Instead of enjoying what they have, they engage in continual warfare with those above them. So I kind of think, just as we have a relationship with the animal realm, gods and demigods have a relationship. So they're in the same ability to see one another. This is my conjecture. And then there's the gods. So some gods are engaged in defending themselves from attacks by the inferior asuras or demigods, and while others live a life of uninterrupted sensory indulgence. Then there are those in higher planes who abide in a blank-minded mental absorption, which is mistaken as liberation. So like the demigods, because of their previous positive actions, they enjoy unbelievably pleasant surroundings for a very long time, like 500 years. But their karma runs out and they have to face death and fall to the lower realms. It's said that gods, they're very beautiful or very handsome. Their clothes never soil and their flower garlands never fade. And they can just think of something they want and it appears. But 7 days before they actually die, they know they're going to die. And so that it's unbelievable suffering to know that now they have to leave this pleasure palace and fall to the lower realms. Unbelievable suffering. And they lose their friends. Their friends, how it's hard to hang around somebody who's suffering. You think, it's all good. And then you go, wow, okay. They know that their friend is dying. And so they begin to lose their friends. People don't want to be around them. So it's very, very difficult. So None of the experiences of the 6 realms is permanent or everlasting. They're totally dependent on changing causes and circumstances. So psychologically speaking, and you can think about this, psychologically speaking, we can be elevated from a Preta realm to a blissful Deva realm in a matter of moments. Sooner or later, our stay comes to an end. And we can see in this life, people who have appearances have everything. And then all of a sudden, due to circumstances, they lose everything. We watch. Nothing is permanent. Everything is changing. And this is a great suffering. So this is to be contemplated. These 6 realms are to be contemplated. These are, we must contemplate how it is. I think if we contemplate how precious this human life is and that we're going to lose it, spend this time, this week actually thinking about that. If we look at our precious life, it says, and we'll talk about that next time, this precious human life, what it means to have it, and why it's precious, and how it differs. Just to be human isn't enough. So maybe that's enough for tonight. I want to see if I can locate. See if I can locate the prayers for dedicating. And let's see. There they are. All right, so maybe I can just share this screen and we can dedicate, put it in the bank so it doesn't get lost. All this positive energy. Okay. Don't know. Let's see. Is it there? Do you have a dedication? Or did I not share it? Oh, maybe I have to play it. Allie, do you see this on your screen? Okay, good. All right, let's dedicate. By merit of this virtue, may I become Buddha and lead all beings, everyone, into that enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow, and may that born not decline, but increase more and more. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds, May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. So please also dedicate all this positive energy to the long lives of all of our spiritual masters, teaching valid paths to enlightenment. May they live long and have fruitful lives. And may all the obstacles inside us or outside us, which could stop us now, may they stop and end forever. In all our lives, may we never live apart from our holy lamas, and may we bask in the glory of the Dharma. May we fulfill every good quality of every level and path and reach then quickly the place where we ourselves become Buddhists. And then think about the people in your life. Dedicate to their welfare. And on our prayer lists, may people be healed. May they have fortunate rebirths. Very good. Thank you all very much. Lovely to be here. If anybody had a question, I would entertain it if you feel like passing on a question. Otherwise, you can go lay our head down. Maybe you have a comment. Whatever you like. All right then. Oh, Venerable
My
Gyatso.
friend Wilson Sultran cremated today. He died on the 7th. He's a Nalanda monk. He died at Nalanda. Today they put him into his stupa. He's my good friend.
Good friend of Venerable Gyatso here.
Wilson Sultran.
Losang Sultran, who passed away at Nalanda Monastery. His body was cremated today. So make a special prayer dedicating to his fortunate rebirth. Enlightenment. You know, when we make that kind of a prayer, when someone that we love has passed away, we can see them, you know, in their human form, just absolutely manifesting a light body and going to the pure realms, or actually manifesting as a Buddha. It's very beneficial. And we can recite medicine Buddha mantras and ask all the Buddhas to guide them. All right, my friends, hope to see you next week.
Thank you.